What the hell is this? I hear you ask. Well, it's a bit of everything. It rides high like an SUV. It has a saloon-like profile and a fastback-esque rear end with a tailgate, and it's made by the slightly left-field French luxury car brand DS. Actually, scrap that. Marketing execs will tell you it's a Parisian brand because that's far more likely to attract buyers. Although it's manufactured in southern Italy, but we'll shove that under the carpet for now because it does have French batteries and motors at least. It's called the DS number 8. Now let me tell you a little bit about the new nomenclature. DS has basically changed how it names its cars to make them sound more premium and luxury French. So old names are DS3, DS4, DS7, etc. And they've stuck a little NO in front now, which is number in French, or short for
le numéro,
at least. So why are they doing this? Because DS wants to feel more like a luxury brand. Think perfumes, fashion houses, you know, fancy French stuff. Not just another car company. It's the same idea as before. The bigger the number, the bigger, more premium the car. It's just dressed up to sound more expensive. DS is, of course, part of the Stellantis group, who own just about everything. And we've tested this powertrain before in the Peugeot E3008, Vauxhall Grandland Electric, and the Citroën C5 Aircross. But that's about where the similarity ends. The bulkhead is lower, the wheelbase is longer, and the rear seats are set further back. As a result, the roof is lower. DS calls the styling audacious, strong and bold, and for once that doesn't sound like marketing fluff. In the metal, it really does lean into that sense of drama, with a sharply defined front end, intricate lighting signatures and a long tapering silhouette. But this isn't designed for design's sake. Like so many EVs, the form is doing some heavy lifting when it comes to efficiency. With a drag coefficient of just 0.24, it's right up there with the most slippery cars in the class. And that hasn't happened by accident. DS says every surface has been honed in the wind tunnel, with a focus on managing airflow as cleanly as possible around and, crucially, away from the car. So the front end, for example, features active, closable air intakes that reduce drag when cooling isn't needed, while the DS light blades are shaped to guide airflow at the nose and help it detach cleanly at the rear. Then there are the usual aero staples, flush door handles, carefully profiled alloy wheels with inserts, a tapering roofline that flows into an integrated spoiler, and a fully optimised, almost completely flat underbody. Even the ride height and bonnet line have been lowered to improve how the car cuts through the air. Individually, these tweaks might sound minor, but together they add up. DS claims that the aerodynamic work alone is worth around 46 miles of extra motorway range, a not insignificant gain that underlines just how critical aero has become in the EV era. And that's really the point here. What DS has managed to do is blend the theatrical with the technical, a car that looks strikingly different yet earns its keep by slicing more cleanly through the air. There are 2 battery options available. Whoa, look how big that flap is. The front-wheel drive 230 has an official range of up to 326 miles from its 73.7 kilowatt-hour battery, whilst the all-wheel drive long-range 245 with the 97.2 kilowatt-hour battery delivers the headline figure, up to 466 miles of range. While 160 kilowatt recharge rate puts it behind rivals that offer 300, what you've got to remember is that this car can still add 125 miles of range in 10 minutes if the battery is between 20 and 55%. Engineers have put a lot of thought into how the battery performs in the real world, not just on a spec sheet, but over the kind of long-distance journeys UK drivers sometimes actually do, but are put off by doing it in an EV. The focus here is on sustained, rapid charging, rather than just chasing an impressive peak figure. In other words, it's not just about how fast it can charge for a brief moment, but how consistently it can hold higher charging speeds over a longer session. That is a far more meaningful metric when you're covering serious miles. DS says the battery and thermal management system have been engineered to keep temperatures in the optimal window for longer, allowing the car to maintain a stronger charging curve across the bulk of the session. The result should be shorter, more effective stops, particularly on repeated rapid charges during a motorway run. Put into context, on a journey like London to Edinburgh, that could translate into fewer charging stops than key rivals such as the Polestar 4. It's a subtle shift in approach, but an important one, as EV drivers quickly learn consistency beats headline numbers every time, and a well-managed battery that can repeatedly deliver strong charging performance is what ultimately makes long-distance electric driving feel effortless. There are two main trim levels, entry-level Palace, which is well-equipped, and top-spec Etoile, with optional packs to add even more tech and comfort. Inside, DS says the number 8 is designed around the French art of travel, which basically means handcrafted details like Klaus to Paris embossed inserts on the steering wheel and air vents, along with intricate pearl stitching on the dashboard and armrests, high-quality sustainable materials including Napa leather with a watch strap design, and in some configurations Alcantara. It's a DS, so it's adopted a diamond-shaped theme. Although it's toned down compared to previous models, I'm glad to say, it still might be over the top for some. Also, what is this X-shaped steering wheel all about? And why, oh why, did they choose to lift some of the switchgear from the Peugeot, Citroën and Vauxhall models? Such a pity. That said, I love this wraparound aluminium dash panel, which flows into a striking end plate with an ambient lighting panel, grab handle for the door and speaker bezel all in one. And the 16-inch widescreen, designed to be used by the passenger as well, is responsive and easy enough to navigate. Bad points? Rear leg and headroom isn't great for a long hauler, but if you have the panoramic roof, it does give you some extra room to play with. At the centre is DS Iris System 2.0, a new generation infotainment platform with a 16-inch touchscreen, which includes voice control, wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and connected services, including ChatGPT integration, which apparently has made it a lot easier to use than the outgoing system. The car also features advanced driver assistance through DS Drive Assist 2.0, enabling semi-autonomous driving functions like predictive adaptive cruise control and semi-automatic lane changes, and targeted sound deadening, all working to keep road and wind noise at bay. The result? An exceptionally hushed cabin, as I've touched on before, the kind that makes long journeys feel less fatiguing. Then there are the seats, which go well beyond the usual token massage function. They feature multiple programs, adjustable bolsters, and are designed to support occupants over longer distances, subtly shifting pressure points to reduce fatigue. It's the sort of detail that feels entirely in keeping with DS's more comfort-led, almost lounge-like approach to interiors. Perhaps more interesting is the way the car manages temperature. Rather than simply heating the entire cabin, which is energy intensive, the DS focuses on warming the occupants directly. Think heated seats, steering wheel and targeted airflow, all working together to create what DS describes as a kind of thermal cocoon. It's not just about comfort, it's also a smarter use of energy, helping to reduce the impact on overall battery range in colder conditions. Whether wellness is the right word or not, the intention is clear: to make this a car that feels as relaxing as it is efficient. A place you arrive from feeling better, not worse. God, I'm starting to sound like a working PR again. That presentation was far too long and obviously rubbing off. With extensive soundproofing and laminated glass, it's wonderfully quiet to drive, apart from when the ADAS systems kick in. But I will say, with this X-shaped steering wheel, it can throw you a bit, especially when you're going around corners, because you're not sure which way's up from down. Anyway, I'm sure that's something you get used to. The supple suspension really encourages a relaxed driving style. It's well damped, so it doesn't roll and pitch, meaning it feels really predictable and stable on the road. The steering is light but not vague. Instead, it's nicely precise when you need it, and the accelerator is wonderfully progressive. It rides a lot better than its rivals, but its commendable composure means that it's not a sporty drive. But that's never its intention. It's supposed to waft around. In fact, I'm surprised that DS haven't thought of a way to pump some sort of strong cologne through the car. Probably because it's too hard to do when the car smells so much of Napa leather. Probably crafted from cows that graze in Mauritius or something. The DS number 8 comes as standard with a variable damping system. Using cameras and sensors, it reads the road surface ahead in milliseconds, making thousands of tiny adjustments every few centimetres to prepare the suspension for what's coming next. On the road, it feels impressively seamless. The suspension adapts in real time to imperfections, smoothing out rough surfaces with a composure that's very much in keeping with DS's comfort first ethos. Broken tarmac, expansion joints, even the kind of potholes we're all too familiar with on UK roads. The number 8 just seems to shrug them off. What's particularly clever is that this isn't comfort at the expense of control. There's a sense of the car staying well tied down with body movements neatly managed, so you're not left with that floaty, disconnected feeling some softer setups can bring. Instead, it strikes a pleasing balance, calm and cosseting when cruising, yet composed enough to feel confident when the road starts to twist. It all adds up to a driving experience that feels deliberately unhurried and reassuringly polished. Less about outright sportiness, more about making every journey feel effortlessly smooth. In terms of regen, there are 3 levels: low, moderate and augmented, adjustable via paddles behind the steering wheel, plus a stronger one-pedal mode that can bring the car to a complete stop. Fairly standard, I hear you say, but it's how DS has tuned it that should get your attention. It's very smooth, intuitive and easy to predict. It's very much in keeping with the DS brief of comfort first driving, aligning with the car's overall personality. This isn't a sharp, sporty EV, as I've said, and the braking reflects that. It's also a massive improvement over other Stellantis EVs, suggesting DS is moving in the right direction with brake blending. This is definitely one of the good cars from the DS stable, and priced from £50,790, it's fairly reasonable for what it is. It stands out, it's lavishly appointed, super easy and relaxing to drive, and its 466-mile range exceeds most alternatives. But who are its rivals? Well, Polestar 4, Mercedes GLC, BMW i4 and Audi Q6 e-tron are cited as key benchmarks. It is important to note though, while DS says that the Q6 e-tron is an example of a direct contender in terms of size, price and capability, it's actually been priced to match the smaller Q4 e-tron. Cunning. And I can see why they've done it, because the premium EV segment is a hard nut to crack, especially if you're considered a relatively unknown or new car manufacturer. And then there's the resale value to think about. If you're judging it by the old DS9 it replaces, it isn't fantastic. That said, at the presentation, they said they worked with CAT and that it was actually the best in class. I suspect people will go for the German alternatives because although it's refreshingly different, is that enough? And if they want something a bit left field, they'll probably go for the Polestar, but hey, I could be wrong. Don't forget to like and subscribe so I can keep bringing you more reviews.